Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Seize Your Business. I'm Jim Wazak with Family Heritage, and my co-host, as always, except when he's not here, Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law.
Hello.
And today our guest is Savannah Lamey from Elmhurst 355.
255.
255. One digit. What's the difference? So Savannah manages an upscale apartment complex in Elmhurst, and why don't you tell us a little bit about the building and what you do there? And
Absolutely. So I am the leasing and property manager. It's 192 luxury apartments in a community that also has about 12,000 square feet of retail. We're located downtown Elmhurst, right on the main street, right in the city center. And we just opened in October, so very exciting.
Okay.
Construction's done. We're ready to go.
Good. So our topic today is client retention. You know, we talk a lot about marketing, and sometimes the best way to have a client is to not lose the ones you have. Then you don't have to replace them. So obviously that's something that applies in a place like an apartment complex. What would you say are some of the things you do to make sure your tenants are happy and that they stay?
Obviously, just providing superior customer service all across the board. That means every single staff member, even if, not just me, obviously, being the manager, but, that comes down to the janitorial staff, the maintenance staff. Everybody just being courteous and friendly is very important.
How many staff members do you have?
So I have 2 maintenance techs, I have an outsourced janitorial crew, and then I have 2 leasing specialists and 1 office assistant. So roughly 7 of us, not including the outsourced staff. So
how do you, because everybody wants to provide excellent customer service, and this is where the rubber hits the road here, because everyone says they provide excellent customer service. How do you differentiate yourself and then institutionalize that differentiation so that the janitorial staff is doing the exact same things that you are?
So I think in an apartment building, it's fairly easy. Making sure that the staff knows people's names. When you're walking down the hall, you can say, "Hi, Joe Schmo," and they just recognize that and they feel special, like we remembered them. So just training all of your staff to kind of remember people and associate faces and get names, or try to come up with nicknames in your mind for them, or something to remember who they are, or remember something special about them. "Hey Joe, how was your son's graduation over the weekend?" or whatever. I think just makes them feel special.
What's your training process like? Because you're asking people who may or may not be considerate in their personal lives and may or may not be good at remembering names to kind of, change how they operate.
Part of our move-in process is basically they have to go through a 45-minute orientation the day that they come in to pick up their keys, the residents, I mean. So we kind of walk them around. We show them the entire building, give them a breakdown on the rules and policies, like we call it a resident handbook, essentially. And then if they want to do, let's say, like hang up like a large painting or something like that, they have to actually schedule a time with maintenance to come in, and that's when maintenance meets them. They introduce themselves, they explain, how to hang up their items and all that good stuff. And then we also have weekly and monthly training sessions where we talk about what's going on in the building. Oh, so-and-so wants grab bars installed, or hey, we have retail window cleaning this weekend, whatever the case may be. So we're always constantly talking about the residents.
So you have a standing weekly meeting and you kind of get together.
Exactly. So we kind of go over work orders and things of that nature. So that way we're constantly talking about the units and the residents and following up on whatever is happening. Also with work orders, whenever, maintenance goes in and they take care of an issue, we have a follow-up process with that. So I have maintenance go in and actually do the work. They turn in the paperwork to the office, and somebody in the office will actually follow up with the tenant and say, "Hey, were you satisfied with their work? Is everything okay?" Yeah. And it's not just an email. I know a lot of companies will send like a satisfaction email, like, "Hey, how'd it go? Are you satisfied?" Well, I think it's that more personal one-on-one communication is key. because, we actually do care about, hey, was it done properly?
Sure.
And it's also another way for them to talk to them and remember them once again, something else. The more communication, the better.
So let me ask you this question, because I think that's great hearing that from a younger person such as yourself, because a lot of the millennials haven't grown up with the same sort of common courtesy like us old people have.
Is this where you tell us to get off your lawn, Jim?
Yeah, exactly. Get off it. But how do you inculture that in younger people to have that sort of same concern?
It is hard. It is really hard. I think, a lot of times too, with the stuff that I have, my maintenance guys are a little bit older, but my leasing staff, they're younger. These girls are in their 20s and they think an email will suffice. And I'm like, no, I want you to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
So, even if we just get a general prospect, let's say somebody from apartments.com or whatever reaches out and we get an inquiry, it comes into our queue, and I say, if there's a phone number and an email, the first thing you're going to do is pick up the phone and call them. You're not going to send them an email. You're going to call them first. Then if they don't answer, feel free to shoot them an email.
Okay.
And then we have follow-up processes. So even with general prospects, they have to make 3 attempts to reach out to these people. And one of those attempts has to be a phone call.
Okay.
How do you track all of that?
So we actually have like a huge, it's like a CRM system that actually checks all of that for us. And it actually, once you put in a lead, the follow-ups actually automatically generate.
Okay.
And I print a report on a weekly basis. So any missed follow-ups or anything like that, they have to go back and do it.
Now this question is probably just my idle curiosity, but it seems to me like most people are generally pretty reasonable, but every once in a while somebody will come up with some off-the-wall request. I mean, do you get tenants asking for crazy things, or is that...
Oh, I get the best requests.
Oh, good.
I really do. I get the weirdest stuff. I have a plant in my office right now that I'm watering for someone, which I just think is ridiculous. They're out of town for like 7 weeks in India or something, and they're like, my plant's gonna die. Come and take care of my plant. I had somebody that said, hey, I need to go to the grocery store. Can you watch my child for an hour? I'm like, no, this is not a daycare.
Yeah, that's probably rougher. Yeah.
Everybody always wants something off of their rent for something.
Okay.
Like, hey, that trash chute was jammed this morning. I think you should give me a discount. Like, no,
really?
You can walk your trash downstairs.
Yeah. Even though this is kind of an upscale place where people you would think
that's
have...
every day. I mean, I think that's the problem too with it being upscale. They expect more, so they will complain about literally everything
and anything.
Everything.
Okay.
What's your process for dealing with complaints? Because we try to be really good at client service too, but every once in a while, you'll have someone that's upset, and like Jim said, half the time it's reasonable. Half the time it's they're being unreasonable. How do you train your staff to deal with that?
I get off really easily because I just have this really great face where I can say no with a smile.
Okay.
And I usually don't get yelled at.
Okay.
Like, sorry, I can't do that for you.
Okay.
And just kind of be relatable.
That is a great no face.
It is I think
I'm gonna practice that one in the mirror.
That can be a whole chapter.
I wonder if that'll work on my kids.
Yes, a great no face.
It's the tilt the head, smile,
little cringe.
Yeah, the cringe.
I feel so sorry, even though you don't, but say you do, and
yeah.
So you're not afraid to say, you know what, that's a bridge too far.
No, I think that is key at being a manager and in any industry, not even my own, is having the backbone to stand up for yourself and your company's rights and policies and sticking to it. I think it frustrates me when, even if people go over my head and they go to corporate and they complain, and drives me insane when corporate's like, okay, we'll do this for them. I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that for everybody else, so I'm not doing it for them.
Yeah.
We have a lot of laws and stuff in terms of fair housing and discrimination that we have to be careful with. We have to be very consistent. So I'm a very black and white person. You give me a policy, you give me a procedure, you give me a law. It is what it is. And I have no problem explaining that to people when they ask, well, why do you do this? Why this doesn't make any sense? I'm like, well, actually, it makes perfect sense to me. Let me explain it to you. And sometimes it's really just educating people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
they get all
that
frustrated
can be.
because they don't understand why
Right.
we do something one way, and it's like, well,
Yeah. if
let me tell you
explain
why.
it. Yeah.
And sometimes they'll, back off
That'll
a little
help. Yeah. A lot of times I think people just want to be listened to.
I
Now,
agree.
I'm going to ask you this question. In my short time that I've known you, I mean, you're very professional. You're very capable. You're running this big apartment building, yet you're still pretty young. What would you say has helped you to get to, a pretty responsible position at a fairly early age?
I think it's really my stubbornness.
Your stubbornness.
Once I get
Okay.
an idea in my head or something, like I know that I want to achieve something, it's just that determination. Like I'm
Okay.
going to make it happen.
Okay.
I'm the type of person where, if give me a paddle and I'll make it up the river
Yeah.
type of person.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
you don't give me a paddle, I'll build one. I'll break off a branch and throw my shorts, make a sail, and we're good to go.
Good for you. Good for you.
I just, I started in the industry at 17 and,
Okay.
did this stuff all through college and just kind of worked my way up.
Yeah.
So you kind of learned your customer service and management strategies kind of by doing it through apprenticeship, basically.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, my collegiate background is in management and stuff. My degree is in that, but I think you can never have enough education in terms of, especially with my industry, because there's always things evolving. And
Sure.
as you know, laws change and what have you. So just staying educated.
But-
Obviously, with my license, I have to do those things. But
Yeah. But I would say there's something more to it, because I'm sure, well, I certainly have, we probably all have been in places where it's a service type business, and yet they give you the feeling like you're bothering them, like if you have to, you want to order something or you have a question. So I think it's more than that. So what would you suggest to a company who is maybe, has grown a little bit, gotten a little bit bigger, and is now concerned about, client retention? How would you tell them to start some kind of a program? What would be like sort of step one, et cetera?
I think step number one is really getting your ducks in a row. What I've found from being in a couple of different, buildings and companies now that do this, you don't necessarily think of what comes with the renewal. Perfect example. I mean, in my industry, we'll send out a renewal lease. Okay, well, what goes with that lease? Okay, well, we also need updated renter's insurance. Have your pets been revaccinated? Do you have a minor that's turning 18 that needs to be added to the lease?
Okay.
There's so many companies that just don't do that.
Okay.
So really just following the laws and keeping up with your paperwork, I think that's key. And then again, I can't even, a follow-up process. We don't just send out paperwork, and say, hey, here you go. My girls are trained. Once again, they have to follow up with them 3 times and get an answer. Well, if so-and-so is not renewing, why aren't they renewing? What happened? And actually tweaking and going back and looking at those responses and those, surveys or whatever we actually have. If they turn in an intent to vacate notice, there is a customer survey at the bottom that says, why are you leaving? What could we have done better, blah, blah, blah. And actually taking that to heart, I look at each one of them. And sometimes it's things out of my control.
Yeah, right.
There's just things that I just can't do. Well, I don't like the location. Okay, well, I'm not moving my building.
Right. Yeah, right. That would be tough.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that would be tough. Yeah.
But if it's something on there, well, you guys the bathroom is always dirty. You never replace the poop bags for the dogs. Okay, those are things that we can work on. And just really taking that to heart and improving your business every day. You can always improve. There's always things that you can work on.
Of course.
Savannah, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with us
Yes,
today.
thank you very much.
If people want to lease from you or learn more about what you do, how can they reach you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn, Savannah Lamey, or you can go to elmhurst255.com and reach me there.
All right. Jim, how can people reach you?
Well, before I tell them that, I will tell them that I've been to Savannah's building a couple of times, and it's absolutely first class, and you just heard that the service is terrific. So if you're looking for a new residence, you want to be kind of in the nearer suburbs, close to train and everything, I'd highly recommend talk to Savannah. For me, you can reach me at 630-272-3895. Main offering is supplemental cancer insurance. Savannah is actually a client of mine. And we're happy to talk to you about it. Kevin, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can schedule a free consultation in almost any area of law by calling our office at 630-324-6666. We've got offices all over the Chicago suburbs, and if we don't have one near you, we'll put one near you if we can.
Now that's fine. You will move your building.
Yeah.
Like
check out more of our videos and podcasts about business at seizeyourbusiness.com. You can check out my legal blog, podcast and video blog at learn-about-law.com. And we've got a new makingrealestatefun.com podcast and video blog about real estate. So thank you so much for joining us, Savannah.
Do you ever get a chance to actually practice any law? You got more TV shows and podcasts.
Well,
than,
I read the E-Myth early on about delegation. So
okay.
to be honest with you, I really only do law a small percentage of the time for clients that need my specific expertise. But other than that, we've got five great attorneys, and they've all got different areas of expertise. So the answer is no.
Okay, all right.
but that's that's from everything we've learned on these podcasts. Trying to put it into practice.
Absolutely.
So. All right.
Super.
So thank you for listening.
See you next time.